maybe in a past life I was Sri Lankan, but I have suffered with anxiety and panic attacks since I was 17. So you were talking like 35 years. I got off the plane and I just had a sense of peace wash over me. And I was just like, wow,
this is where I belong.
This is where I'm meant to be. Yeah. And from the minute I got out there, I was like, this is where I need to be. So for me, I've always wanted to retire somewhere where I can basically get back to basics. The lifestyle in Dubai and Abu Dhabi is very materialistic. It's very fast paced. It's very, I would say, fake. Yeah. And it's very hard to make real friends there. It's very hard to have real connections and real experiences, I feel. And then mix all of that with this core mix of wonderful, humble people that you'll ever meet in your entire life. It just is the dream place to be for me.
You make me want to come now.
Come home. I don't know why anyone's leaving.
I know, right?
Yeah, I tell all my friends, don't leave, stay. Why are you leaving? You're mad. You want to go to the UK? Are you joking? Do you know how much it costs to live in the UK? Do you realize how much tax you're going to be paying? Never.
And the gloomy weather, the cold, didn't. But yeah, as a woman, if you're traveling alone, be careful, not just in Sri Lanka, but anywhere.
Anywhere, yeah. I mean, I would do the same in London. I think I feel more safer here than I do in London. Do you know what I mean? So we're not just talking about this country. It's any country you go to, ladies. You always have to have that savviness about you to just be mindful of where you are. Because obviously coming from Dubai and from the UK, and I lived in Spain as well for a while, my pace of life was always very now. Fast. Come on, let's do. Yeah. And these places force you to go, relax. Why are you stressing for? It's going to happen. Chill. Sit down. There's no rush. You have to do that. Otherwise you get frustrated and then you're stressed. You're like, why am I stressed? I've got nowhere to be. Let's just sit here. It's fine,
Take it easy.
We can no longer run the clinics. We used to run a clinic every week, a vaccination clinic where people of limited means could bring their dog, get their dogs vaccinated and get their dogs spayed and stuff. But they've had to stop all of that because we just don't have the funds to do it anymore, unfortunately. It's just, I really feel this government and the president that we have now, I really feel he's different. I pray that he's different, okay? And I really feel that if we could get in front of him, that we could do something, because he's got all these schemes going on, about making sure that the kids eat well and then trying to get rid of the children that are malnourished and and the clean up Sri Lanka, hashtag clean up Sri Lanka. So they've got some schemes going now where and the corruption has definitely gone, I feel. Just do it. I mean, it's the best decision I ever made. I will never go back to the UK, only for visits to see family. I'm desperately trying to get my 78-year-old father to live here. Just think how much more amazing Sri Lanka would be if we had all of those educated people back.
Yes.
To be able to do something. Do you know what I mean? But just leave, but just up running and, they'll all come back eventually.
Yes.
They will all eventually come back.
Yeah. Hi, Joanne. Iboan. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Hi. Oyata Kohamida.
Wow.
I'm learning Sinhala. Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you.
That's good. Your pronunciation is very good, Joanne.
Thank you. I am trying. It's a slow process, but it's getting there.
Yeah. So please introduce yourself to us.
Okay, so hi everybody. My name is Joanne. I am 55 and I'm originally from the UK. I moved to Sri Lanka permanently probably only about a year ago. But for the last, I would say 3 or 4 years, this has been like my second home. So I've been doing short-term contracts and then I've been coming here. I've been staying here with either friends. I did buy some land and I was going to renovate that land, but that's still there at the minute. But yeah, so I fully moved here I'd say about a year ago. But I knew from the minute I got off the plane, this was somewhere where I was going to end up living without a shadow of a doubt.
So you first came on tourism or to work?
No, so I worked I was living and working in Abu Dhabi, and one of my co-workers, one of my front of house staff, she was Sri Lankan, and basically I looked after her like my own daughter. So then the parents were like, "Oh, please, you must come, you must stay with us, you must tour." So we came for a month the first time, and we did 2 weeks of touring, and then we did down south, and then we did 2 weeks of touring in the center and staying with these friends, which was just insane, absolutely insane.
What was your first impression about Sri Lanka, other than the humidity and the heat?
I think the beauty and the quality of the air. I mean, even in Colombo, for me, coming from Dubai, which is a very sandy, very sometimes very difficult to breathe, just when I got off the plane, the air quality. And for me, I don't know why, maybe in a past life I was Sri Lankan, but I have suffered with anxiety and panic attacks since I was 17. So you were talking like 35 years. I got off the plane and I just had a sense of peace wash over me. And I was just like, wow,
this is where I belong.
This is where I'm meant to be. Yeah, yeah. And from the minute I got out there, I was like, this is where I need to be.
Beautiful. So since then, have you been working in Sri Lanka or just visiting before you decided to settle?
So obviously, no, I haven't been working because I've been on a tourist visa before, and I'm just about to go onto a spousal visa because I'm engaged and shortly to get married to a Sri Lankan.
Congratulations.
So obviously you can't, thank you. You can't actually work on a tourist visa. But you can volunteer. So obviously my job is a maternity nurse. I usually work for VVIP families or the royal family, in different, usually Middle Eastern countries. And I only do short-term contracts as a maternity nurse. So I look after the babies until maybe 3, 4, sometimes 5 months, and then I'm finished. So I will go away to work, and then I will come home, and then I will stay here. And I will volunteer all of the hours here, usually to some sort of charity here in Sri Lanka.
So what was the longest period you stayed in Sri Lanka as a tourist before deciding to move?
The full 6 months. So I usually come on a 1 month. Yeah, so I come in on a 1 month, then I extend it, and they extend it for 2, and then you extend it again, they extend it for 3. So you get 6 months, and then you have to leave on a tourist visa. So yeah, I came in for a month, and then I went back to Dubai, and then I decided, right, that was it. So then I came for 6 months, then I went back to work, and then I came for another 6 months back to work, and then ended up being here then permanently. For me, I've always wanted to retire somewhere where I can basically get back to basics. The lifestyle in Dubai and Abu Dhabi is very materialistic. It's very fast paced. It's very, I would say, fake. Yeah. And it's very hard to make real friends there. It's very hard to have real connections and real experiences, I feel. So I knew from visiting, and I knew from talking to my colleague Dilki, that what it kind of would be like, that it's not that developed, it's not that high tech. I didn't realize how non-high tech it would be with my experiences with the post office, etc. But that's what I wanted. I wanted to go back. I wanted to start to find some land and live off the land. I wanted to go back to knowing my neighbors. I wanted to go back to knowing my community and being a part of the community again. Do you know what I mean? And living and not worrying about, have I got makeup on today? What do I dress? What do I look like? Are they going to look at me and think, oh my God, she looks like a mess? Do you know what I mean? I wanted to just go back to sort of forget all of that. And to be more I feel more at peace like that. So it was some areas were some areas were a shock. More in the shock in the sense of how poor some people are here. That shocked me. I didn't realize it was as bad. Shocked me in the sense that I'm an empath, and I'm one of these people that I just want to give. When the first few times I've been here, I was giving all my money away all the time, and my friends were like going, no, you can't do that because,
it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. Yeah, you're not going to be able to live if you keep doing this. And obviously all the street animals and so that was an adjustment. But you do get used to it. and you do adjust, and you know, like anywhere you live, I suppose you do get used to it. But no, I love it.
Yeah. Meaningful socializing and building friendships or relationships is what took us off from the life in UAE. You know, we lived there more than a decade, and that was the main reason to leave. So
exactly. I mean, you go to those places, don't you, just to make a few dollars, because that's the best place to make money if you want to make money, quick money, and then go and do what you really want to do.
Reach your dreams sooner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How about the spicy food?
Okay. So this is something, if you're English and you're not really that good with spicy food, this is something you need to build up. Now, I can eat some spicy food now, and my soon-to-be husband is a chef, and he makes the most amazing Sri Lankan dishes.
Nice.
And Sri Lankan food, I have to say, is the best. You know, you can get the food not as spicy if you don't want it as spicy. But even the non-spicy, you know, some of the stuff that isn't that spicy, the flavors are insane and so cheap. So cheap. Ridiculous. I know. So cheap. I can't believe it. But yeah, I love it. And so I started off having, I would say podi. I kept saying podi spice, you know, podi. And then gradually, the more you eat of that spice, the more you do get used to it, and you can tolerate more and more. And even there was a concern about eating the street food in the small little vendors and stuff, but no problem whatsoever. No, I've had no major problems.
It's not compared to India, let's say.
I've never been to India, but yeah, I imagine that India's way worse. Some of the TikTok videos I've seen of the street food, I'm like, what? No.
Yeah, unbelievable.
We're not
right?
like that. Yeah. We're not like that here. We're not like that here.
No. So the soul is Sri Lankan, and the body is slowly moving towards being a Sri Lankan, tolerating more spice. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's it.
That's nice. So overall, how is it living in Sri Lanka? What do you like the most about living in Sri Lanka?
So obviously for me, I love the greenery, the scenery. You know, Sri Lanka has everything. Okay, you can go for the mountains, and I'm talking breathtaking, stunning scenery. Okay, I'm not talking just small mountains. I'm talking like wow scenery. Then you've got the jungle, and you've got elephants crossing the street, and you've got leopards, and you've got monkeys everywhere. And then you've got this culture, this ancient culture. You've got the temples and Sigiriya and all this sort of the history behind. And then you've got the most stunning beaches, which some of them, you know, are better than Bali beaches and Thailand beaches. And then mix all of that with this core mix of wonderful, humble people that you'll ever meet in your entire life. It just is the dream place to be for me.
You make me want to come now.
Come home. I don't know why anyone's leaving.
I know, right?
Yeah, I tell all my friends, don't leave, stay. Why are you leaving? You're mad. You want to go to the UK? Are you joking? Do you know how much it costs to live in the UK? Do you realize how much tax you're going to be paying? Never.
And the gloomy weather, the cold.
Now, I have to say, that's one thing I didn't think I would miss. But sometimes I do think, I just want a bit of cold. But then again, when I want a bit of cold, I hit the Knuckles. I go up to Knuckles, I go up to Nuera Elia, and there you go. Nice English cold weather. You can put your jumpers on, you can have a fire going. Stunning.
I think that's why the English governors built their bungalows there in Nuera, right?
Yeah.
They missed that.
Because they weren't used to this heat, but they can cope with the heat up there. It's more like England.
Okay. What annoys you the most about living in Sri Lanka?
Okay.
I'm prepared.
I understand. Yeah, prepare. I understand that as a Sudi, a white person, people look at me and perceive that I have a lot of money. And compared to most people, I do. I'm not going to, compared to the people that live here that are on very, poor wages, I do have a lot of money. Now, I am one of these ones, as I've already said, I love to give. We have a tuk-tuk driver that's amazing, I'll always overtip him. You know, we go to a restaurant, it's amazing, I will overtip them. You know, I'm one of these people that I want to give. But when I'm purposefully being scammed because I'm white, it kind of grates on me a little bit, because I think to myself, and I say to my husband, if they had been honest and if they'd have been fair, they would have got more than they're trying to get out of me now.
Yes.
So sometimes now what we have to do is, if we want to buy something like furnishings or something, I have to send my husband in on his own because he's Sri Lankan. I will take pictures of what I want, send them to him. He goes in and gets the price. And then when he's got the price, I pop up. And you can see the look of, dang it, on their face. Like, no, I could have got more money out of him. Do you know what I mean?
Missed it.
But it's sad that, you know, and that's only, you know, come on, that's only a small percentage. Majority of people are amazing and they're very fair. And so therefore I tip really well. But there are a few, it's usually people like pick-me drivers or tuk-tuk drivers that try and take the mick a little bit. There's only one other thing that I dislike. And actually, it's only recently started to happen to me since I moved. So I have a scooter and I drive everywhere and I go everywhere by myself. And I've been doing this for the last 3 years since I've been coming here and staying here for all the time. Never had a problem. But now I'm starting to get men on bikes come up to me and then start harassing me. And one guy actually was really quite bad a couple of days ago, and I had to actually swear at him and tell him to leave, or else I was going to call the police. Now that again like I said, that's only the second time that's ever happened to me in the whole time I've been here. So that is a small minority. So I don't want people to think it's not safe for a single female. It is safe for a single female. But you just need to have your wits about you. And when you get an idiot like that, you just need to tell him where to go. I told him where to go. I threatened him with the police and off he went. Do you know what I mean? And that doesn't happen very often at all. That's not a regular occurrence.
But still unfortunate. Did you think of going to the police? Did you go? No.
I didn't, because I was driving to the salon to have a facial, and there is a police, there's a couple of police guys about 2 kilometers behind me, but I was almost at the salon and late for an appointment. I suppose realistically I should have gone, but I didn't take down the number plate of his plate. I didn't take down the information that maybe I should have taken down. Do you know what I mean? So all I could do was say, this guy, the Sri Lankan guy on this scooter followed me and said these rude things to me. Nothing. They wouldn't have been able to do anything.
Out of 22 million.
Exactly. Like, okay, madam, we'll look out for him. All right, you know, I'm not going to waste their time.
But Joanne, let's say a tourist, a woman, faces this kind of situation. Can she go to the police, and how helpful are they, in your opinion?
Oh my God, they are so helpful. Okay, they are amazing. Give you an example. I don't normally ride my scooter at nighttime. I rode it the other month before my surgery, and this digger came out from a side road with no lights on, with this bucket up like that, and actually nearly knocked me off my bike. Okay, and there was the police almost right in front of me, so I went straight to the police. I was shaking, I was crying. I was like, this guy's just nearly taken me off the bike. They were amazing. I had my purse. I lost my purse in Kandy. I went to the police. Again, amazing. The tourist police are brilliant with tourists, because they want us to come. They want the tourists to be here. They are super helpful. I've never had a problem with them ever. But yeah, definitely go. And they all speak, if not one of them, somebody will speak really good English. Definitely report it. I would say definitely report it. Because it leaves, if someone only has that experience, it leaves a bad mark, doesn't it? And that's not what we want, is it? You know what I mean? So definitely report it. And the police are amazing.
Okay. I've heard otherwise somewhere in the South, but I also think like could be a rare incident. But yeah, as a woman, if you're traveling alone, be careful, not just in Sri Lanka, but anywhere.
Anywhere, yeah. I mean, I would do the same in London. I feel more safer here than I do in London. Do you know what I mean? So we're not just talking about this country. It's any country you go to, ladies. You always have to have that savviness about you to just be mindful of where you are. Does it look like it's a bit more run down? Does it look like it might be a bit dodgier? How's the lighting? Are there many people walking around? Just be aware of your surroundings and just be a bit savvy.
Yes, yes. Also, Joanne, since you are engaged to a Sri Lankan, I've had a couple of sad stories, especially from the south of Sri Lanka. I mean, I've only heard so far from the south. Maybe it's happened in other parts of Sri Lanka too. But that now solo females, they come, they enjoy the time, everything all good. But then they fall in love with someone, a Sri Lankan, a local. And then it's again all good. But then they start thinking of investing all the money they've saved up. Sometimes the ladies are in trouble either with money, like the finances, or like the rules, the cultural differences start popping up, So being engaged to a Sri Lankan, did you hesitate to when a man approached you, or you were like confident, or I don't know.
No,
I lost my question.
I mean, no, I know what you're saying. So the question, so how has it been? For me, I have to say, I haven't had any of that. My partner is amazing. Yes, there are cultural differences, but we're quite lucky because we're both Buddhists. So that kind of works quite well. But there are some cultural significantly differences. And I don't know, we just work. Like, the cultural differences that I find I struggle with is where in this culture the man would pay for everything. Well, that ain't happening in I'm independent and I'm financially independent and I want to contribute to the house. And that's something I feel like he struggled more than I, because he worries, because when we first were together, I used to be like, no, I'll get this. And I used to pay, and I could see the look on his face. And then he'd be like, Joe, people look at me and they think I'm a beach boy, but they think I'm using you for your money. And I'm like, but you don't. Like, you refuse. Like, I have to fight to pay for anything. Do you know what I mean? And I said, okay, well, to ease him so he doesn't feel so bad, he usually has the money and I just let him pay. But even if I've given him that, even if it's our money, to me, it's our money. But I haven't actually invested in anything, but I wouldn't hesitate to, because even with him, because I've got my own bank account. He has his own bank account. Like I said, he never lets me pay for anything. I have to really struggle to pay for anything with him. So I haven't had that. I have heard of people having issues, but for me,
that's nice.
No, my husband's lovely. And my husband lived I was lucky because he had lived in Dubai for about 5 or 6 years. So he's a little bit less traditional, I guess. I mean, even our wedding, we're having some elements of traditionality about it, but because, we've both been married before once. So it's going to be a mixture of two cultures, the wedding.
Nice. Are you excited?
I'm so excited. I went for my sari fitting last week. I was like,
oh. Wow, that's good.
I'm actually going to wear a sari. I'm wearing a Kandyan sari.
Whoa, really?
I know, yeah. And I'm having my hair and makeup and the jewelry just like the Kandyan girls, because I just think quite stunning.
The seven necklaces.
Yeah, I've got the necklace and the hair necklaces, and I've got I'm going to have flowers because my hair's like really long, so I'm going to have the flowers all around it as well. And
Well, I'm excited to see. Good luck.
We'll see pictures. Thank you.
Nice. Any other annoying experiences you had?
Yeah. So we talked about this country not being very technologically minded. It's like literally you go to the post office or the sorting office or the customs office to pick up a parcel. It's like going back into 1950s. Like, everything is still paper. There's no computers anywhere. And it's this theory, I don't know why, is even in the post office, in the driving license office, in the visa department office, you go to this desk, you go to that desk, go to this desk, you have to go to that desk, go to this. It's like 5 or 6 different desks. Now, whether that's just because they've employed so many people in the government and now they've got to find things for them to do, I don't know. But the worst one is the driving license place. You go to one place, she scans all your documents, she sends you to another desk, he checks all your documents, he sends you to the cashier, you pay, then he sends you to another desk, he checks your documents again, you go back to the cashier to pick up your driving license. I was like, what?
But do you get it in one day?
Oh, yeah. And now I've got accustomed to the fact that I go ting, 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 and I know how to do it now. I've sussed the system out. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, the post office is still so slow. But do you know what? The thing I love about the post office is my postman drives a bicycle and rings his little bell. I mean, when I was like in the 60s and 70s, our postman used to do that, and I love it. I love it.
Joanne, I tell you, you wanted a slow life, madam. Here we give you.
I know.
And we make you feel young by taking you back in time.
Yeah. And do you know what? It's teaching me.
Hi. If you're watching this episode and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. It'll be a big strength for me. Let's go back to the video.
Because obviously coming from Dubai and from the UK, and I lived in Spain as well for a while, my pace of life was always very now. Fast. Come on, let's do. Yeah. And these places force you to go, relax. What are you stressing for? It's going to happen. Chill. Sit down. There's no rush. You know, you have to do that. Otherwise you get frustrated and then you're stressed. You're like, why am I stressed? I've got nowhere to be. Let's just sit here. It's fine, you know.
Take it easy. And also, like you mentioned, we have so many political appointments in the government sector, so we have to give them something to do. Here you check the papers.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you had a surgery. How did it go?
Okay, so for me, one of the I'm an ex-nurse as well. Okay, so one of the big things about moving here was, what is it going to be like if I need surgery or if I have an accident or there's something? Because obviously I came here originally when we were in the economic depression, where you couldn't get any medications, and I was queuing 7 hours in a queue to get fuel for my bike, and there was no food in the supermarkets, and we were having 12 and 13-hour power cuts. I was thinking, what if I need to have surgery? You know, how's that going to work? And I just thought, I did some research, looked at some of the hospitals, obviously the private hospitals, and these don't look that bad, you know. These really don't look that bad. And then when I came a few times before, I caught like a UTI, like a urine infection, or I was chest infection, had to go to the hospital to get some antibiotics, seen really quickly, antibiotics, because I know what I need to take as well. They were really good. So I don't normally tell them I'm a nurse. I do that so I can assess how good they are. So I'm like, okay, really good. Yeah, that's the right antibiotic. Okay, brilliant. And the services were really good. And I had an MRI and a chest X-ray. And I was thinking, this isn't that bad. This really isn't that bad. And then I did my back in and I needed to have spinal fusion surgery, which is major surgery. And then I was like, okay, now we're talking. And I was I must admit, I was really anxious. But I have some friends who were doctors, and 3 of them all recommended this one orthopedic surgeon to me. I went to visit one first of all, and he was rubbish. Gave me a list of medications to take. Evening primrose that's for the menopause. Like, what are you giving me that for a bad back for? Like, I was just like gobsmacked. So I didn't go back to him. Then I got recommended this guy who is the best, trained and studied in the UK before. And he was highly recommended. And I saw him and I just instant confidence in him. Really good confidence. I won't mention the hospital because I've currently got a bit of a beef with the hospital at the moment. But in terms of the surgical procedure and what happened, can't fault it. What I would say is, however, do your research on the hospital. I did not do my research on the hospital. And sadly, the hospital that I had the surgery in are just about making money. Now, there are obviously lots of private hospitals in the country, and there are better quality of service. I knew for this operation, because the consultant told me that 24 hours post-surgery, they need to get you standing because it's better for your recovery. But as a nurse, I was expecting to be given morphine, paracetamol, ibuprofen, on board before they even attempt to get you up. I mean, I had a 3 spinal fusion at the bottom, and then at midway, I've got a scar like that. So I had a decompression at T11 and T12. So that's the thoracic area at the back. So I had 2 major surgeries in one. 15 hours after my surgery, with no pain relief on board other than paracetamol, this idiot little physiotherapist turned up and insisted that I was getting up. And I said, but I've got no pain relief on board. He said, I don't care, you're getting up. And basically put his arms underneath me and dragged me out of bed, kicking. I was screaming and crying and saying, no, please. I was screaming and crying, and stood me up. I looked at him, and the nurse was still beside me, and they were both laughing at each other because I was crying and screaming. Now, I have to say this is a one-off, okay, because I've had physio since, and the physios are amazing. It was just this one hospital, which I then did my research afterwards and found out it is running down, and it's not the best, and it's now all about this because it's running out of money, and the care has gone downhill. My surgeon, amazing. But as you'll find out here, surgeons work when they do their private for several different hospitals. They won't just work for one hospital. And it just so happened that the appointment time that I had was at this one hospital. So I continued to have the other thing that I was mortified was that the coordinator of the hospital contacted me with a price, which I thought was phenomenal, ridiculous. So I then went to my consultant and said, I'm not paying that. That's ridiculous. Because obviously they can see Sudi. So they're now thinking, right, we're going to bump the price up. Yeah. And then he said, no, it's fine. I'll speak to them and get them to bring it down. So then she brought it down, but only by, I think it was 400,000 rupees. I needed it doing, so I had to have it done. And then when I was in there constantly, every day, the finance team are coming up saying, give me your card. We need to make a payment because every day we have to make a payment. So I'm trying to recover. I've already made several payments. Then they're harassing me. I don't know if this happens in other hospitals, by the way, harassing me for payments. And then at the end of it, despite the fact that I bought the screws myself because my consultant said buy them for direct from the manufacturer because it's 300,000 less, I ended up paying more than they originally quoted me for the surgery. But
that's
the consultant was amazing. The surgical procedure has been done. I'm getting back to good health. I've seen him once since the surgery, and I see him again in a couple of weeks. He's amazing. Can't fault him at all. No issue with my wounds. Nothing. Such a good procedure. So I'm not worried in the future. But as I say, just Google the hospitals. Just do research on the hospitals because some of them are better than others.
Yes. Do your own research, and also there are many Facebook groups and Reddit groups that can help you. Maybe post it there.
There's one. There's when you come over, you'll learn there's one specific Facebook group. Don't know if you want me to mention it, but there's one specific Facebook group that all the expats and local Sri Lankans use if you're looking for a dentist or a barber or this or that or there's stuff going on.
You can name it. You can name it. It will be useful for me.
It's called so it's called the Original EPFS. And it's run by a guy called Michael, who is half Sri Lankan. And it's got like something like 20,000 members in the group. It's a really good group to find anything out. But there are plenty of groups.
Good. Sorry about the bad experience, but I'm happy. Everything is good now.
Yeah. Getting there slowly.
Joanne, I've noticed that you're very involved and active in animal welfare in Sri Lanka. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, so when I first came, I'm an animal lover. I just love animals. And when I lived in Spain, before I lived in Marbella, I used to work for an animal rescue centre there, but they had a lot of like pit bull dogs. So I used to look after the really aggressive big ones. Here, obviously, we don't have those. We don't have as many dogs like that, but we obviously have our street dogs and our community dogs. And I wanted to do something that would be able to give back. So I actually first went to Embark, which is the most famous one here, which is run by Ottara, which is our famous. She was a model, Sri Lankan model. Then she started selling clothes from her car, and then she ended up creating a brand called Odell, and then she sold that. And then she created Embark and the Ottara Foundation. So the Ottara Foundation looks after elephants and other main wildlife like monkeys, elephants, the leopards and stuff. And then Embark specifically focuses on the dogs. For Embark, they only look after the dogs in Colombo and surrounding areas of Colombo, unfortunately. There are several other, you've got the DCC, which is down south in Unawatuna, and you've got Animal Wellness Trust. They're the three main biggies. There is one in Nuera Elia. I think it's called Ella Dogs. But there's a few of them. So I worked there. What I used to do is on a weekend, we used to have adoption day. Sadly, that has now stopped. The reason for this is there are loads of dogs that need adopting, and you'll see on the Embark page, if you look on the Embark page, we're always posting stuff about these puppies need adopting, these puppies need adopting, these puppies. The reason we've had to stop adoption day, sadly, is because we started to see a decline in people willing to adopt. The first couple of years I was here, we were having 5 or 6 adoptions a week. The puppies would go and they were lovely homes and they were really well looked after. And then this last sort of year, people have brought the dogs back. And they've brought them back for some of the most ridiculous reasons. The dog barks. It chewed my shoe. We're just like, it's a dog. It barks. You can train it not to bark. You can train it not to bite. And then we do like spot check. So we tell them we're coming the first time to check the environment, because the 2 rules that we have at Embark. You can't cage the dog 24/7. And you can't leash the dog 24/7. Okay. These dogs have been through enough. You can't put them in a cage and leave them in a cage for the rest of their life. And you can't put them on a chain for the rest of their life. So we do one check, which we tell them we're coming for. And then we do a spot check, which we don't tell them. And 9 times out of 10 on these spot checks, we were finding that the dogs were caged, the dogs were chained, and the household wasn't great. So we just take the dog straight back. And it was getting a lot for Atara, and she was getting very sad. So we adopted all the dogs that we had. And then now what they do is they rescue dogs that have been injured on the proviso that the community will look after that dog. Once it's okay, they will release it back to the community where it came from, and the community then look after it. It's like here, where I live now in a small village, we have 5 community dogs, and they come to my door every morning and every evening for breakfast and dinner. And other people in the village will feed them as well and stuff like that. Now, sadly, they've had to do that at Embark because funding is dropped. There's no funding anywhere. There's no funding from the government here anyway for animal rights or animal welfare. The funding that we can apply for out of the country is few and far between. Obviously, you can imagine the whole world has got, their charitable, rescue centres and stuff. So everybody applies. So sometimes we don't get anything. We do have patrons here, and we do have people that can used to sponsor dogs, but they've dropped. And so the funding has just gone down and down and down to the point where we can no longer run the clinics. We used to run a clinic every week, a vaccination clinic where people of limited means could bring their dog, get their dogs vaccinated and get their dogs spayed and stuff. But they've had to stop all of that because we just don't have the funds to do it anymore, unfortunately. It's just really sad. Now, I do know that down south, DCC, what is it called? DCC is dog care. I'll find the name for it. Yeah, I think it's Dog Care Centre. I think something like that. In Unawatuna, the front of their shop, when you go to it, it's open, and that's where all the surgeries are done. And you always see, they always use, they're really good. So they get like the trainee vets, the vets that are learning, that have learned to do a small procedure like sterilisation or something. And they're there constantly doing sterilizations. The sad thing about Sri Lanka and the cultural thing about Sri Lanka is, for some reason, and I don't fully understand it, but they don't believe in sterilizing the animals.
But the babies can suffer on the road.
Exactly. Now, for me, this is a predominantly Buddhist, Hindu, Tamil country where, particularly in the Buddhist culture, we love animals and we're supposed to look after them, not do them no harm. It doesn't make sense that families with limited to no means have a dog, brilliant, that's fine, but then allow that dog to get pregnant, and then what do they do with the puppies? Because if they're not they're not going to sell them, so they're not going to make money off them. So then what ends up happening is they end up putting them in a box and dumping them in the street or dumping them outside the embark office. Or that doesn't make sense to me. Like, allow us. We wouldn't, we used to neuter the dogs for free so that we don't have this problem, and there's, you see a lot on the streets when you're driving in a car or in a tuk-tuk or on a bike, the street dogs around, and you can see the ones where the communities are looking after them. And then you can see the ones that are just like, I have a video of, I rescued one of the dogs. Me and my husband rescued one of the dogs. She's called Pelanie. And I have a video of Pelanie when she was rescued. She was like this big. She had not a single bit of fur on her. She had distemper. She was shaking and she looked like she was at death's door. And now she's amazing. She's full hair. She's got a bit of Alsatian in her, so she's a bit quirky. But you just see these dogs everywhere, like.
And some accidents also happened recently, right? Because of stray dogs. That's sad.
Because they have, most of the street dogs you'd think would have like street sense. But no, they still run out in the road. Some of them have street sense, but some of them are like, especially the new ones and the puppies, they don't know. And they're just roaming around.
They're babies.
So they'll just, they're babies, they run out. And they're just lucky if they don't get hit or killed before they realize, no, we don't go over there because that's where we can hear, that's where the noise is, that's where the traffic is, kind of thing. But there's just, there's just so many everywhere.
Yeah. Well, many things have to change in Sri Lanka, especially the mindsets of people. And I hope they will look it in different perspective about the stray problem we have too.
Yeah.
By the way, Joanne, last week, I think I saw the government had a discussion about the stray problem. Let's hope some good solution will come up.
Yeah, I mean, they're talking about a sterilization program to try and, obviously we've got the dogs we've got. And let's just try and look at, there's not, I don't think they'll do anything about the dogs that we've got, but let's not try and make any more. Do you know what I mean? But, we had the Indian Prime Minister, I think, come over the other week, and there was horrific footage of personnel going around, government personnel, and picking up street dogs and removing them from the area. And we don't know what they've done with these dogs, and these dogs have now gone missing from their communities. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying,
I heard, but I didn't see any videos.
I saw some videos. I really feel this government and the president that we have now, I really feel he's different. I pray that he's different, okay? And I really feel that if we could get in front of him, that we could do something, because he's got all these schemes going on, about making sure that the kids eat well, and then trying to get rid of the children that are malnourished, and and the clean up Sri Lanka, hashtag clean up Sri Lanka. So they've got some schemes going now where and the corruption has definitely gone, I feel. I feel this guy, I feel this parliament, this group will do well. Let's see, let's hope.
Let's hope. By the way, speaking of government funding, anything related to animal welfare, I didn't see this living in UAE either. They don't just care. I mean, compared to Sri Lanka, they have loads of money, and I never understood why they're not doing something about stray animals.
Do you know what? The thing is, so the one thing I will say about the UAE is that they do neuter, okay? So particularly the strays. So you'll see the cats have got a chip out of their ear. That means they've been neutered. And I used to work in an office, and we used to have lots of stray cats that weren't neutered. And you just call a number and you just go, right, the cat's to here. And sometimes we caught them. If we caught them, brilliant. So they would, if not, they would come catch them, and then they would take them away, neuter them, and drop them back off where they caught them. They don't have a lot of stray dogs in those countries because they don't really like dogs. It's not really a dog-friendly place. Most Muslims, a lot of Muslims don't actually like dogs, but there's so many cats, like ridiculous amounts of cats. But
many cats.
There are, I know of maybe.
But the funny part is they will have dogs sometimes at home, like huskies and which are not at all suitable
French
for that.
bulldogs. Yeah, French bulldogs that can't breathe in that humidity.
Sad, but yeah, let's hope this administration will do something about it. And let's talk about helping with some charity or some money, or maybe volunteering, fostering. How can people help?
Yeah, so at the minute, the best way to do it is to go on and find these rescue centres. Like I said, you've got Embark, you've got Animal Wellness Trust, you've got DCC. They're the main ones.
Bao,
you just
Animal
Google
SOS.
Bao Animal SOS. Then you've got Dogs of Ella. All you've got to do is Google animal rescues or dog shelter in Sri Lanka, and they'll all come up. Okay, they'll all have their own schemes, and they'll all have ways that you can donate, and they'll all have social media. Most of our social media. And if you go on the social media, they're always saying, can you help with this? Now, it might be we need funds to feed the dogs, or it might be a dog's come in really bad condition. You can sponsor dogs. So you can be like you used to be able to sponsor a whale or sponsor an endangered species kind of thing. You can do the same with the dogs over here. So you can have a monthly membership where you can do that. And again, these organizations have their own. If you're here, I know particularly Animal Wellness Trust, they do have a volunteer program where you can go and help. But any volunteer place, if you say you want to come and help for a while, they'll be like, oh, yes, please. They'll rip your arm off. So you can come over, and if you're a tourist, you can help. If you come in over as an expat and live here, yes, of course, feed the dogs. I mean, we know here in Sri Lanka, we don't have rubbish like we do in the UK. So our food waste rubbish has to go separately. Just separate that and put the food that the dogs will eat. These dogs eat spicier food than I eat. Like my husband will make a big pot. He made pumpkin and chicken curry for them the other day, and it was a big pot like this. It wasn't too spicy though, but a big rice, which was super cheap, pumpkin, which was super cheap, and some chicken, which was shredded in it. And then we just get some banana leaves and whack it on. So you can feed them by all means. But if you live here, if there's a way of you, I don't know, what I'm thinking about doing is outside my house now, we've got the monsoon, is you can buy these really cheap barrels, cutting out part of the barrel and making it so that the dog can get in there and putting like a little blanket in there so they can get shelter from the rain. Anything, if you've got a porchway, let the dog sit under the porchway when it's pouring it down, just so they can get a bit of relief. You know what I mean? I always have a big bowl of water outside my front door so the dogs I've always got water, so they always need water in the heat. I think we're going to have a power cut. I thought we were going to have a power cut then because it's monsoon in here. So there's lots of little things you can do. And if you live in a community like I do now, find out which are your community dogs and be a part of that community and help look after them.
And what about, let's say a tourist comes to Sri Lanka and visits one of these shelters and want to adopt and take the dog or cat with them. Can it be done?
Yeah, so they can do. Yeah, it can be done. Yeah, so we do. So I know DCC do that a lot because they're a German. They're run by a German lady. So sometimes you'll see advertisements saying looking for a flight buddy. So somebody wants to adopt a dog. They just need someone to fly the dog if they're flying back. But yeah, they know the process. They'll sort all the process out for you. You may have to pay for it, but that's, if you're going to adopt a dog and take them home, you're going to want to pay for his flight anyway to make sure they're safe. But you can do that very easily. And if you want to come over here, to do that, there's some wonderful dogs over here. Wonderful dogs. Such characters, honestly.
Yeah, there are many ways to help. If you cannot afford, if you don't want to adopt or foster, at least volunteer. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or at least share on your Facebook, make stories about it. The least you could do.
What a lot of other people do as well is you might see a dog, like me, I see a dog is injured. I will take that dog myself to the vet and I will pay for its treatment. And then I'll probably foster it at home myself. And then I will make videos on that. And then I will try and find that dog its forever home. And I will foster it until I find that it's a forever home. So that's, if you live here, that's another thing you can do. You may not be able to have a dog permanently, but foster it, and then reach out to all the charities and say, this dog is up for fostering. So I would send videos to Embark, and Embark will post it on their social media with my contact details, you know. So
this could be
so
done with cats too.
Yeah, cats, dogs. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Guys, if you're watching this, if you know any other animal shelters or welfare programs that need some attention, please comment so others can go and have a look. Yeah. So, Joanne, do you have any message to people who want to settle down in Sri Lanka, mainly expats, foreigners?
Do it. Just do it. I mean, it's the best decision I ever made. I will never go back to the UK, only for visits to see family. I'm desperately trying to get my 78-year-old father to live here. He's coming over for the wedding in September, and he's going to stay with us for around 3 months. And I'm hoping that I'll persuade him to stay. But we'll see. But, you know, this is a wonderful country. It's a wonderful culture with wonderful people. And if you're an expat coming from a different country, I have to be honest that your money will go a hell of a lot further than it will anywhere else in the world, probably. So yeah, just do it. Just do it. It's amazing.
Yeah. I just want to mention here that come, everybody's welcome, visit, settle, but make sure you're legit. Right?
Yeah.
Make sure you go through the right authority if you want to invest, or think like 100 times before associating in a marriage or anything. Go for the right visa is what I want to say.
Yeah. And the thing is, there's lots of help out there. You know, if you want to come over here, invest and start a business, there are places that can help you. Contact people like myself who live here, who understand. You know, myself and my husband will eventually start our own business. You know, there are people out there that can help you to avoid the pit holes of getting scammed, especially when you invest. You know, and making sure you do it the right way.
Yeah. And Joanne, lastly, I said lastly for the earlier question.
You said lastly last time, yeah.
Okay, the main reason for me to start this channel is I'm disturbed by how many Sri Lankans, like the educated ones who could actually do a difference in our country, are just trying to leave in extreme weather conditions, you know, and just, I mean, some of them have had good jobs, good like houses and cars and everything in Sri Lanka. But after the crisis, they're like, okay, I'm quitting. I cannot do this anymore. So do you have a message, since you are living there, for people like this?
For them, you're mad. I mean, yes, you know, every country has its good and its bad. Okay. You know, yes, we went through a depression for a while, but look, we've come out the other side and we're thriving again. Do you know what I mean? The country is thriving again. And the grass isn't always greener on the other side. You know, like I said, I know people I have friends who've gone to Australia, and I have friends who've gone to the UK and Australia, and they're like, oh yeah, I need, they'll phone me and they'll say, Jo, I've got these symptoms. What do you think's wrong with me? And I go to a doctor. They go, I can't afford it. You can't afford to go to a doctor? Have you not got health insurance? Well, yeah, but it's not a great, and I'm like, you know, the health here is, the cost of health here is very, very cheap. And then they go to the UK and they don't realize that you get this tax and that tax and this tax, and the price of a, you know, of a bar of soap and the price of a loaf of bread is so much more. And then when you add all of the other things on top of it, it seems like a good idea. But if you stayed here, just think how much more amazing Sri Lanka would be if we had all of those educated people back.
Yes.
To be able to do something. Do you know what I mean? But just leave, but just up running, and, you know, they'll all come back eventually.
Yes.
They will all eventually come back.
Yeah, most of them will, because I get so many messages, emails. I mean, I just started this as a hobby, but the response is overwhelming. They're like, yeah, we came to Canada, we came to the UK, but now we feel like we regret it, basically. Yeah. So there are so many people. And it's
all
good
of
thing
my
that
friends.
they go out. Yeah. It's a good thing they go out and see how other countries function and then come back, maybe add something to this, you know?
Yeah. Go out, study, get really good degrees, come back and use the degrees in our country, in your home country.
Yeah,
you
for
know,
your children,
make
for your
your
next
country
generation.
better. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yes. And the other thing is, Joanne, yes, before you went for the passport, because let's say, for example, British passport carried, I mean, you could get more opportunities with a British passport. Yeah. But now it's like we are globally connected. I can work for a company in UAE remotely. You can work for a company in America. So I think it's possible. We just have to give our country a chance. Right?
Exactly. And I know people were before frustrated by the previous governments and stuff, you know, and that's understandable. But I have to say this, that they might have been fed up with them, but they kept voting them in, you know. So now that they've made a stand and we've got this change, now's a good time to come back, because I can only see this country going from strength to strength from now on. Hopefully. Especially if this new government, if he stays the course and doesn't get corrupted, which unfortunately sometimes does happen, doesn't it? If he stays the course, Sri Lanka's just going to go from strength to strength. I really feel that from my heart.
Yeah. That's a positive note. Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you so much.
You are very observant. I can see that.
It's my Sri Lankan husband. That's what it is. Keeping me up to date.
Thank you so much for your time, and all the best with all your plans. And I'm sure your father will be convinced if he will stay there for 3 months. It's good enough time.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Thank you. Have a lovely day then.
Thank you. Thank you. You too. Ayabon.